Hello and welcome to this video looking at GenXers and their superpowers. My name is Jessie Newbern. I'm the CEO of Generations Work, and I love talking about generations with folks. So when we look at our GenXers, and this is a generation born 1961 through 1981, we are talking about a generation that has at its core an incredible skill set around entrepreneurship, around finding solutions in business, shaving costs, cutting out the middleman, angling for opportunities. Gen Xers are the natural born entrepreneur. Whether they work for you, have a full-time job, or a gig worker, have their own business, doesn't matter. The core personality of the Xer, which of course is expressed differently from individual to individual inside of the generation, but the core character of the Gen X personality has as its natural strength, particularly vis-a-vis business, being the natural born entrepreneur. And there's a strong element to this that is actually comes from a perspective and an understanding that many an Xer have, which is to just be a survivor. And the reason this is important and we need to look at this is because anytime you're looking at a generation, you need to actually go to their childhood and to understand the cultural era in which that generation of children were born, because that's where you get the insights and the understandings around how their psychological makeup was formed, around what the influences were in the outer world, how parents and midlife adults were treating children, where the nature of children's needs were vis-a-vis the rest of societal priorities and all. And for Gen Xers are often said to have an ill-timed life. So Gen Xers are children when the needs of children are at society's nadir, at the bottom of the cycle. Of all the times for all the other generations, Gen Xers just hit the hardest time to be children in a time when adults are very focused on self-actualization. And the long and the short of it is that, and it's all good. I mean, in the sense that you are the generation you are, you grow into who you are, and then you live the life you live, and you're perfectly who you are as an individual in a generation to be exactly what society needs at that time. So with the Generation X childhood, this happens during, Gen Xers are always born during this time that's called like an awakening. And the awakening comes after the golden age, where society has gotten itself together, it's got its act together, it's doing things, government works, the economy's going, people are smiling, people are happy. It's kind of, they call it the extended barbecue, the extended family picnic sometimes. And it's all great, but it starts to get very stultifying and very heavy and very majoritarian and very bland. And what happens is there's this natural desire for self-actualization and for self-realization and for more of an inner-driven and spiritual inquiry, as opposed to an outer world focus where everything's functioning. And this happens on the backs of boomers. So boomers come of age and they decry the ways of the man, and there's this whole awakening, and the consciousness revolution is how it most recently occurred in the mid 60s. But Gen Xers are the children during this time. And it's a difficult time to be a child when adults are very focused on self-realization and self-actualization. So the cool thing is that, or I don't know what's the cool thing, but what happens is that Xers basically understand that institutions don't have their backs. The education system doesn't have their back. The government doesn't have their backs. The media does not portray children as worthy of love, as they treat them as nuisances, as devil children. There's very little programming that's created for children during Gen X's childhood. And this is important because it creates this sense that they have to watch out for themselves. They have to put their own oxygen mask on first. And so the Xer mind is always angling. It's always looking. It's always like, and it really doesn't matter. They don't have to be the CFO or the CEO or to work in finance to be angling, or to work in marketing, for angling for a new market, or angling how to shave expenses, or angling for, where is some way that we can send some work and have it done offshore so it's cheaper, or maybe we want to bring some service inside and not pay a vendor. Doesn't matter what the questions are or what your role is in the company or organization. The Xer mind is always looking, always angling for opportunities, for untapped markets, for ways to shave expenses, to cut out the middleman, etc. And they're incredible out of the box thinkers. So for a generation that realizes that the institutions that other generations can rely on for various forms of support and structure and all at different times in their lives, Xers understand intuitively. They may not always understand it like academically or intellectually, but it's just sort of an understanding that it's like what is available for others isn't going to be available for us. And so what it creates is this incredible capacity to think outside the box, to think outside the system, to think outside the realm of what others may be thinking, because Xers have to, again, they have to put their own oxygen mask on first in order to survive. And one of the questions that Xers are always asking is, how can we do more for less? And this is really important. This touches a little bit on the work-life balance issue, which is another subject. But basically, Xers don't want to be workaholics the way boomers are, and what they want to be able to do is do the best job they can do in the least amount of time possible to provide the most value, so that everyone can go home and do what they want to do. It's just a really basic, simple concept to the Xer mind. It's like, how can we do more for less? But again, it doesn't. Your Xer doesn't have to be in a field or a job per se that necessarily touches money, but they'll always be thinking this way, always coming up with solutions and all. So tune in and pay attention to your Xers in this regard. Not that other generations can't do this work. It's just that Xers have the natural thinking and the natural skill set for it. Many an Xer are work in, with gigs, freelance work, contract work. One of the things that you might be surprised if you start asking around, and even if you know Xers who maybe have had a job for 10, 20 years, they totally love their company loves them, they love their team, they're paid well, regular bonuses, great benefits, really solid industry, they're, professionally satisfied, whatever. You can find someone with the happiest job situation in the world. But you probably wouldn't be surprised to discover that many of them have gig and freelance work that they do on the side. It may not earn them a lot of money. They might be a DJ. They might do pet photography, for around the holidays or something, or maybe have an eBay business on the side. But what it is there's always this thinking of like, even though this thing seems solid, this job, this industry, this whatever, if things go south, I need to protect myself. I need to take care of myself. I need to be able to turn up the volume on some other activity. So, you may find, besides people who are gig and freelance and contract workers full-time and have been for decades, there are many people who actually have full-time jobs who also do gig work. Again, it's not that other generations don't, it's that for Xers, this is endemic to their understanding of the world and their place in it. And I just love this statement. Neil Howe and William Strauss, who wrote many, many books on generations and are the academicians and all who articulated generational theory, and which is just a beautiful body of work to explain how culture changes and how generations are formed and go on to form other generations. Neil Howe says that never assume that a Gen Xer really works for you. And I love this statement because it's like, again, even if you have an Xer who loves their job and everything, whatever, it's like the Xer attitude about work is that it's what they do to have a life. And if something comes along that's better for whatever reason, they might just jet. They might just go. And it's not personal. It's just that because they're always angling, because they're always looking, they can be doing a great job, be totally loyal, wonderful employee. But if something else comes along that is better for them, they're just be gone, and it's nothing personal. It's just they need to take care of themselves. And of course, they have a strong attraction to markets and risk. And obviously, if you are a natural born entrepreneur generation, entrepreneurialism requires a tremendous amount of risk and willingness to fail, which Gen Xers have in spades. This is in terms of all the generations and their capacity and appetite for risk, Gen Xers hands down have the highest stomach, for risk. And, essentially, Xers are gamblers and hustlers and deal makers. And these may not be the most flattering of terms, but it's the come from place. It's that they're looking for the deal. They're looking to hustle. They're the buccaneers. They're gambling. They're taking the chances on what might work. And this again is all just part of their nature and their natural strength as the natural born entrepreneur. So if you enjoy these videos, please come check us out at generationswork.com. We're on social media. We also have online courses, many of which are free. And, obviously, running a business as well, but, very much my goal is to help people really understand more about generations and to understand this, very important backdrop to the human experience that can help you understand and, be a much better colleague at work, can help you be a better manager, if you work with teams, can help you in your personal life. And also can just, the more you understand about generations, it can help you understand the larger outer world context of what's happening, because culture is always informed by and shaped by generations. So thank you so much. Hope you're having a great day. Bye.